Hey Zombie Hunters, it's Brian. We're 1 week in. I just wanted to do a short little video to keep track of everything, try and help everyone stay informed. It's relaxed, it's informal. I'm wearing my Night of the Living Dead t-shirt. Let's just call it Lains Logs, and let's try and stay on top of all the different things we going on. I've got 5 things that I want to discuss in this very short blog post. Let me get right to it. The very first thing is a sort of tech update, if you will. Now I know we're using a lot of different technology. It's an online course, but we are privileged to be able to use platforms like Engagely and Packback. Let me take just a moment and review everything that we're trying to go over and trying to deal with. Remember, Canvas, again, it's our base of operations. If you go into the module, Canvas has our discussion threads. It's where the blogs are submitted, and it's where the weekly quizzes are. All those things, I'm sending out announcements. If you are not getting your announcements, you need to get in touch with me because I'm sending them out every day that something is due. From Canvas, in the very first start module, there's a link here that will take you to Engagely. You need to be checking on this. This will open up a separate tab that will take you to the Engagely viewer. This is what we're using to deliver our materials. If you'll notice at the very top, it's got a differentiation between a live class and the playback room. The live class is where we're doing our watch parties. It's where we're doing office hours. But the playback room, that's where you want to be able to visit every week because it's where the basic lectures are for all of the materials. If you see this box down here to select recording, you'll notice that every single module has a different video that's associated with it. We already covered module 1. There's one already there for module 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is our primary material. There are questions that I'm asking here. There are different ways for us to interact, but most importantly, it's how we're doing and delivering the instruction. So Engagely is a very important platform that you want to get familiar with, you want to be able to use. If nothing else, you should be using the playback room, but we're also doing watch parties there, we're doing videos there, we're doing our office hours there, all of those things. So Engagely is something that's very useful for you to be able to utilize. Then, in addition to the way that we're doing the discussion threads, hey, the discussion threads are all things that I'm asking. They're prompts that I have created. So you might say to yourself, hey, Brian, nice question, but I've got some burning things that are on my mind. Great. We have a particular platform to be able to help with that. That's called Packback. Again, if you look on Canvas, there's this giant menu area here on the left. Once you click on that, it will open up a submenu and take you directly to our Packback community. And there's a discussion feed here. This is a little bit different. This is not me asking questions that you have to answer. This is your classmates asking questions that you can deal with and have a discussion going. Again, we're an online class, so what if you had an opportunity to sit in class and talk about the things that are really important to you? That's what Packback does. It allows you to create questions, it allows you to formulate them, and you can have a separate discussion going on. Many people have utilized this and responded to it, but we need to take it up a notch. Make sure you're logging into Packback because every week there's a different discussion thread that is started on Packback that can go back in between different things. Look, I know it's a lot to manage and to keep on. Let me try and help. All right, we follow a very familiar formula week after week in the class. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you need to go into Canvas. You can watch the media. That's streaming links to the movies, the TV shows. In some cases, we have games, all that sort of stuff. Second, you need to read the essays each week. Those are the scholarly interpretations that will help us get a footing. Many of you already did that for the first unit. You found Tony Williams. You found Gillian Phillips. All those things are linked into Canvas. The third thing is you need to watch the mini lecture that is on Engagely. And then by Wednesday night, post your reply to the discussion thread that is set up on Canvas. That'll start the discussion. It will kick things off that will going. Then Thursday, you've got more time to catch up on things. We're hosting a watch party every Thursday at 5 p.m. We're going to have different things going on. This week, we're watching a classic. We're trying to get a hold of Reanimator to see one of the big innovations in the way that zombie cinema worked. More on that in a little bit later. Friday, you've got to be able to read and reply to the discussion threads. That's a great time to check out what's going on Packback. It will help you maintain all the different things that are going on. Then Saturday, you need to be able to look at and reply to at least 2 other people on the Canvas discussion board. That's the time that the quiz is due. And if you've got any lingering thoughts on Packback, that's the time to finalize. Sunday and Monday, those are times to work on the blog entry. The blog is due by Monday night. So there's a regular routine, a regular schedule for the way that things work. I know we're using some different technology. If you encounter any problems, reach out to me, reach out to Bethany. We will get it all solved We'll have no problems going forward for things. Second issue that I want to discuss is our discussion posts, the discussion threads that we did have and we did post. Let me start by saying I really enjoyed the discussion posts, really appreciate everybody's hard work on things. There were a lot of points that I want to bring out that we had. A lot of people, you've integrated the readings. That's very important. You do want to integrate the readings. You want to try and push things forward when you're talking about the prompts. Remember to cite your works. I'm in the discussion forums myself. I'm trying to assist with that. I'm making posts like, hey, do the readings help with this? I'm trying to push our thinking forward on things. Please go by and check. In some cases, I posted some replies that I thought people would spur some thinking and maybe take some things off that we didn't quite get to, so do reply on that. Now, many of you commented about the location of that first film of White Zombie, and you're absolutely right, but remember, Tony Williams says that there's no actual dialogue in the film that mentions that it took place in Haiti. That's all just background and context. And on Thursday night, I Walked with a Zombie, which takes place in a mythical location of Saint Sebastian, another Caribbean island, but not specifically identified as Haiti. Location is important here, but it's also, there's sort of a mythical plot or location that's going on as well. Now, one of the other things that a lot of people noticed and commented on was race and the zombie, and you're absolutely right, it's important. I do want to point out from one of our readings, Jillian Phillips says the thing about the zombie in these early movies is it's not all just black and white, but there's also a mixed race element in these films. She discusses the figure of the Creole, and in particular here we're talking about the character of Murder Legendre. Who is Murder Legendre? This is played by the great Bela Lugosi, the first and iconic Dracula. He is cast to play in this movie in our first cinematic launch of the zombie figure. What's Legendre's race? What's the story with that character? Is he black? Is he white? Jillian Phillips says he's something else. He is a in-between figure, and that makes it even more complicated for the things that we have going on. And so that brings me really to the third area that I want to discuss, and that is every time we have one of these units and these modules, we got to come back at the end and say, hey, what are our big takeaways from all of this? What are the things that we are leaving with? And our takeaway from this first unit on the birth of the zombie in cinema in the 1930s is really pretty obvious, that the zombie as a figure is itself raced. It is itself got some sort of gender characteristic. Many of you commented on that in your posts. That is going to stay with it continually. The figure of the zombie is always going to have that raced history, that gendered history. It's always going to plague the figure of the zombie. See what I did right there? As it moves forward, many of you talked about the real horror from the White Zombie film is not the zombies themselves. It's that Madeline might be turned into a zombie, hence the title of the film, White Zombie. So that is an important figure. Our big takeaway from this is if we look back to the origins of the figure, race is an important element, gender is an important element. In other words, from the very beginning of the zombie on cinema, it has some sort of racial and gendered characteristic that is brought with it. All right, now then the next big thing we want to talk about is going forward the survivor's blog. So we've already started reading about what a zombie is. You saw some of the things to begin with. The survivor's blog asks you to imagine we're in a hypothetical situation in which we are facing a zombie apocalypse, and I'm asking you to define what it is we are facing. We already had some readings on this. Listen, there's no correct answer here. The one thing we're going to notice about the zombie is it has changed so much during the last 70, 100 years that it can encompass almost anything. That's part of the nature of the figure. It is very, very malleable. There's no wrong answer. The question is, how do you support your answer? So the question is just, what is a zombie? You can use the films, you can use the readings, all of these are evidence, all that sort of stuff is things that you can talk about in building your own blog post. You can do it as a script, you can do it as a video, you can do it as an essay. All of those things will be accepted throughout the format. Try and have fun with it. There's a bunch of different ways you could go. We want to see what you kind of think the figure can do. Fifth item for this blog, and that is what's coming up next. Well, as my t-shirt indicates, we're getting ready to look at the 1960s. We leap forward into the work of George Romero. I'm talking about the film Night of the Living Dead. It is iconic. It is a part of the National Film Registry. It forms a trilogy of films. He does Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then finally the fourth, Land of the Dead. All these films are the introduction of the modern zombie. There are some remakes. Let's stick to Romero for what we've got. Again, you can watch it straight directly through. He's had an incredible impact on the industry. In fact, interesting side note, I was just talking to a guy today who was originally from Pennsylvania who said he knew the sound guy that worked on the original Night of the Living Dead. This film has had all kinds of extensions and all kinds of interest. The makeup people on Night of the Living Dead, they became the producers of The Walking Dead. This thing, it is huge. It is larger than life. And it's going to read a little bit closer to what we are imagining the regular zombie, the modern zombie to be. And that's my last note on this, is when we are looking forward into Night of the Living Dead, many of you in this Haitian blog post commented, hey, these are not like the zombies that I'm used to. This sort of thing, it looks a little bit unusual for what I have understood the zombie to be. So now we're looking at George Romero, Night of the Living Dead. It's my background right now. It is the beginning of the modern zombie by everyone's account. I want you to do something. If you thought the Haitian zombie movies were not quite zombie enough for you, I want you to count how many times in Night of the Living Dead they use the word zombie. All right, it's very simple. It's very simple. If you believe that this modern era zombie is the beginning and this is the way things go, count how many times the word is used. You already know that in White Zombie, it was used all over the place. So let's see how Romero does it, and let's see how we are getting closer to figuring out that particular figure. I've covered some of the basic things for how we're doing in the course. If you have any problems, reach out. I'm doing office hours every single day from 1 to 3. If you have trouble reaching me, you can do it through email. We've got a watch party going. We'd love to have you involved in that. We've got a number of other things. Really looking forward to seeing how you deal with the blog post. If there's anything else I can do, please reach out. I'm excited to track down that zombie with you as we move forward in time. Thanks. Have a great week, zombie hunters.